Hi everybody, welcome to opening day 2017 at Suntrust Park. The Atlanta Braves are taking on the San Diego Padres. This is also my first game in MLB The Show 17, and Bartolo Colon is on the mound, and wow, did they ever make him look like he put on some even more weight during the offseason. Looks to be about 400 pounds there, so the engineer is not too generous to good old Bartolo, who I believe is the oldest player in the game this season. I'm not sure who's going to start for opening day, but Colon's got a good shot at it. He's got the experience. Julio Teheran is also decent. R.A. Dickey could do the job, but it's just going to come down to whoever's turn it is in the rotation when it comes down to it, because opening day is still 2 weeks away from this video, April 14th. So the Braves will have a good 8 games in already by the time they come home to open up Suntrust Park. And Bartolo's off to a good start here. Now, I was looking on StubHub, and the cheapest ticket to get in to Suntrust Park and the opener is $85, and that's before fees. So you're probably looking at around $100 after fees on StubHub. The game's completely sold out, and here the Braves go. They're off to a good start in this game. Enciarte with a base hit. Dansby Swanson, who's gonna be probably the rookie of the year this year, with a base hit. And now Freddie Freeman laces one out. That gets over the center fielder's head, and the guy on second base had to wait and see if it was going to get caught. So now we kind of got a little bit of a pickle going on, and everybody's safe. So bases loaded, and here's Matt Kemp, who should have been the MVP in 2011, but lost to Ryan Braun, who was later caught cheating with testosterone. And this one is gone. A grand slam for Matt Kemp. And that almost cleared all the seats out there in left field. How about that for an opener? Let's take a look at Matt Kemp round the bases here and see if they changed up any of the gameplay in terms of camera progressions here. Looks like it's exactly the same as the show 2016. And he's going to touch home plate, show the distance. 490 feet, so almost a 500-foot moonshot there. Here's Markakis, and the hit parade is over. So finally an out. Clayton Richard is on the mound for the Padres. The Padres last season had 68 wins. The Braves had 68 wins also. So these are both teams that are rebuilding. The Braves, however, are hoping to win some this year. They're opening up that new stadium, Suntrust Park, and they don't want it to just be an abysmal, boring, awful season. They actually want to win. So the Braves have a lot of people watching them this year, and a lot of people are thinking that there could be a surprise team because they do have quite a few veterans that they've added. So it's not just a bunch of young guys like these Padres. You've got Brandon Phillips at second base. Freddie Freeman's an old veteran there. He's solid. You got Matt Kemp. Enciarte is decent. He's been around for a few years, and he's proven. Nick Markakis, he's an old veteran. He's been around for, it seems like, 10 years now. And then the rotation, you got Colon, who, despite his age and conditioning, is pretty solid year to year. R.A. Dickey, we'll see how he pitches outside of the dome. Being inside the dome in Toronto, that might have affected his knuckleball, so he might put up maybe not the numbers he did when he was with the Mets and won the Cy Young, but he could put up some decent numbers. Jaime Garcia is looking for a bounce back. You got Mike Foltynewicz, who's looking to make a name for himself, and Julio Teheran is a really decent young player. So the Braves are going to be good this year. And how good? We're just going to have to wait and see. They're going to be better, I should say. They're not going to win 68 games and lose whatever they lost last year, 93 games. I think this year you can look for the Braves to win in the 70s. I'm going to say mid-70s. I think right around 75 would be a good number for them. And we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of that's going to be impacted by what they do at the trade deadline. Now, if the Braves are, 10 games out of the wild card at the trade deadline, they have a bunch of players that they could just trade away and get a little bit younger. But, if they do that, then they might end up right around 68 wins again. Hopefully they don't do that. So Colon's in a little bit of trouble here, and he's got 2 outs, and this is going to do it. Swanson gobbles it up and throws out the runner, and that's going to bring the Braves up. Now, one thing that I noticed about Suntrust Park that I do not like, did a little bit of research because I was thinking about going down there over Easter break. I have 4 days off of school plus the weekend, so I have 6 days off for Easter. I was thinking about heading down to Suntrust Park, maybe not for the opener because I have some other games I want to do that weekend, but I was looking at maybe going down there on maybe like Monday or Tuesday, and their gate times are a little bit, let's just say, unappealing for me. Turner Field used to open their gates at 4:30, so all fans could get in there and watch the entire Braves batting practice. When I would go to games at Turner Field, let's see if Matt Kemp gets this one. Matt Kemp, oh, he's slow, and really, if I'm going to be honest, he's pretty bad in the outfield. I don't know what his wins above replacement is, but his defensive run saves is probably a negative number, and they're going to get a run out of that, but it's still 5-1. So anyway, I'm talking about the gate times. At Turner Field, they used to open up at 4:30, so 2.5 hours before first pitch. Now, I was looking on the A to Z guide on the Braves website, and Suntrust Park is only going to open 2 hours before first pitch, and that's just the outfield. I think it's the Chop House gate, which is over in right field. That building you're looking out there with the rails, that's the Chop House. And there's a left field gate over in left field. Those two gates open 2 hours before first pitch. So you'll get to see maybe the last group of Braves hitters in batting practice, and then the visiting team. And all the other gates open an hour and a half early. Here's Bartolo Colon, by the way. He's always fun to watch hit. Half the time it seems like he's up to bat, his helmet's falling off. So anyway, it looks like the rest of the stadium is going to open 90 minutes before first pitch. So during batting practice, you will be restricted to the outfield for the first 30 minutes that you're in the ballpark, which really isn't a big deal for me because I like to be in the outfield catching home run balls anyway. But those people who like to go and get autographs or be along the dugouts, you're going to have to wait a little bit. So that kind of stinks. It's going to be really hard to get baseballs there just because you have the later gate times. And if you look at the outfield, like when we have hits in the outfield here like this one, it's not a really great setup. You got some raised up seats out there in right field, and it looks like there's a bullpen in front of it, which is going to mean you're going to have to hit the ball extra far to get it into the seats. Over in right field, you've got that Chop House. Now there's railings there, but there's probably going to be a bunch of people just set up eating there or whatnot. Jared Cozart coming in the game here. And over in left field, this stadium really reminds me of Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Like if I had to pick one stadium that this just reminds me of the most, it's Busch Stadium. Hey, Dansby Swanson with the bat flip. This one's gone into the Chop House area that I was just talking about. Dansby Swanson showing some power. What a trade that was by the Braves to get Ender Inciarte and Dansby Swanson from the Diamondbacks for Shelby Miller. Shelby Miller, by the way, his career is kind of like teetering in the balance right here. He's having another pretty bad spring. The last time I looked, I think he had like a 7-something earned run average. Last year, he was just awful and got sent down to, I think, like Double-A. So hopefully that guy can get it figured out just for his own sake. I mean, you never wish bad on anybody. Shelby Miller is a great guy from what I've seen. I've seen him interact with fans and stuff, so I'm hoping he gets his act figured out. Sometimes players just lose it and they just never come back. Like Rick Ankiel, he lost it in a big way. He just couldn't even throw the ball to the plate anymore. But luckily for him, he was able to resurrect his career as an outfielder. Some of you might not even know that Rick Ankiel was a dynamite phenom pitcher when he first came up. But anyway, so yeah, this stadium reminds me a lot of Busch Stadium, which is one of my least favorite stadiums to go to. It's got the bullpens taking up space in prime real estate. Over in left field, you got that like overhang, what is it, like 3 decks out there. They got a little bit of Kauffman Stadium because it looks like there's a fountain out there in center field. If you look closely, it's like a miniature Kauffman Stadium fountain out there. So I don't know. I'm not crazy about this stadium, even though I've never been there. I'm sure it's beautiful, But there's just some things that you wish would be different, like a brand new stadium opening up. You're going to have probably at least 25,000 people there every night. Here's BP Brandon Phillips. He's from Atlanta, and he just hit a home run. So this is becoming a blowout. And he's going to round the bases here. And what is it now? 7 or 8 to 1. Let's check the score here. But yeah, you got the big crowds coming in. You should be opening up 2.5 hours early. A lot of stadiums, it seems, recently have been trending towards the less batting practice time that you get to see. The Indians 2 years ago, they used to open at 4:30, then they switched it. Now it's 5 o'clock. The Phillies did the same thing. They used to open at 4:30. Now it's 5 o'clock. One team that went the other way, the Pirates, believe it or not, used to open at 5 o'clock, and in 2011, I think it was, or 2012, they changed it to open at 4:30. That was led by Zach Weiss, who is now a reporter. He kind of wrote a petition, and sent it to the bigwigs at PNC Park, and just he kind of explained about why it's so interesting and so important for season ticket holders to get to see the home team take batting practice. And heck, the Pirates listened. So the Pirates, kudos to them. I wish more teams would be like that. I mean, you're only opening a small section. The Pirates only open the left field bleachers. It really only takes, a couple extra workers to be on the clock for that extra half an hour. All right, but let's get back to the game here. There's Adonis Garcia making a nice play. Now, another thing about Suntrust Park is there's not a whole lot of places you can retrieve baseballs from. In batting practice, I do a lot of batting practice videos, and I like to retrieve baseballs with gadgets and devices that I bring into the park. At Turner Field, they had a gap the entire way around where home run balls would land, and a lot of fans actually would retrieve them with ball retrievers. Some would use cups, some would use a claw like I did, others would just lower their gloves down in and get them with the glove trick. Now here at Suntrust Park, there's not a whole lot of great places to retrieve balls here. Hey, I almost stole home. I'm doing kind of like a suicide squeeze there. I should have not even bunted because I had home stolen there. The guy was in the lineup and I was like the guy was in the windup and I had 5 more feet to go to steal the base. That would have been awesome. But like I was saying, you got the raised up area in right field. That's kind of like a really bad place to retrieve balls from because no one's going to want to dangle a retriever like, I don't know what that wall is. I'm going to guess maybe around 15 to 18 feet. Those aren't very fun to do. Over in center field, there's kind of like a driveway out there where they probably pull the tractors in and out to cut the grass. Balls could probably be retrieved from there. And then, of course, you've got the bullpens, but it's going to kind of hurt some of the Atlanta ball hawks. David Welch is always over, I want to say 500 or 600 balls a year, sometimes 700. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to still retrieve as many. Hopefully he can, because, I mean, if he can get a bunch, that means whenever I go, I'll have the opportunity to get some. And David gives a lot of his baseballs away, just like I do. I think it's important if you use a ball retriever that you don't keep most of them. It's really imperative that you give the balls away to the little kids, especially like if you're going to go and retrieve a ball and there's a little kid there and you have to ask him to move. I mean, give him the ball. One thing that I really hate seeing is people that use ball retrievers and then they just take like every ball and they keep it. Anyway, here's a pop-up. This game is moving right along and the Braves are just steamrolling the Padres here. It's 9-3. Oh, check that, 9-4. That one's crushed. So a home run for the Padres. They're on the board here. Thinking about making this a series, by the way, just leading up to the baseball season. Maybe doing some of these opening day matchups, like I might do the Pirates and Braves, maybe the Indians and White Sox, maybe some of these other teams that are facing off on opening day. I think the Cubs are playing the Cardinals. Just might be kind of cool just to talk about these teams. Just like I was able to talk about the Braves a lot today in Suntrust Park. I think the Braves are going to have a say in the wild card hunt, not so much as they're going to be the wild card team, but I think that they could prevent the Mets from being the wild card because they're going to have to play the Mets, like 18 times? And if the Braves are better and they split those games, they might open the door for a team like the Pirates or the Cardinals or the Giants to jump up over the Mets and take a wild card spot away from them. Overall, the NL East is going to be better this year. I think that the Braves improved. I think the Phillies are improved. I think the Marlins are basically the same, maybe a little worse. The loss of Fernandez is really going to hurt them. I mean, you just don't replace a stud like that, a number one ace, all-star guy with, I think they replaced him with Dan Straley. Edinson Volquez is in the rotation now. Still going to be a little shaky, but we'll talk about the Marlins more if I do a Marlins video. I've got Arodys Vizcaíno in the game right now, and we're trying to close this one out and get Bartolo his first ever Braves victory. By the way, Bartolo, I wonder how much longer he's going to play. I hope it's a long time because I like seeing him. And here he is. He just got his win. Matt Kemp just made the catch. So the Braves with the victory at Suntrust Park. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you tomorrow.